Hey everybody, Jay Barino here, and welcome back. We are playing the true story of Arkain on the finale of Act 7, Horse and Rider. We made excellent progress last video. There was the very first attempt, though, that was off-screen, but that's because I learned a lot about the map, and there's a cool map event that I didn't want to pass up on. So let's continue whipping out light blue. We've made a lot of progress here. Let's fully get rid of them. I would love to get our heroes 100% leveled up along the way, by the way. I think Amari's been getting her Shadowbound HP. Hopefully she's gotten credit for the heroes that we've killed. Make sure we're getting maximum value there. So we have a few open gold mines. I mean, they're open, but they're not really open. If Flamidus chooses to continue pushing, I may go ahead and go with him. And it looks like he is. And what do you know? Flippin' Boar Regiment. I hate them so much. No, don't turn around now. Okay. We're going to try and mush into Falcon Regiment here, though I don't have anybody in the front that can stun, because we're going to be stuck behind our allies. I need to be able to get up there and hit her. Come on, Grofzag. There you go. Okay, we canceled that. If we kill her, then I would like to keep this momentum going. I think we're through all of our taunts now. I did build more War Zeppelins too, and now I have been on one gold mine. It's very difficult to take more, except this one down here, which I finally opened the way to, and we can set up. Though the Bloodstone attacks might get that too. Okay. Catapults, I need you up here actually attacking Falcon Regiment. And this is very successful. I'm not willing to sacrifice any more of my soldiers here. Retreat. Let the Saurians have this base. So much for your plans for Sauria. Oh, I'll be back, Orc. Don't you worry. Now I know how strong you are and what powers you have. That's all I need for now. What do you mean? We routed you in lore, too. You knew how strong we were then, but this coincides with her taunt from earlier. The Empire still has plans for Sauria, Orc. Your kind won't stand in our way. So much for your plans for Sauria. All right, so let's wipe this out. That's actually a really strong map event. I wonder if that only happens when you're pushing into the base. But that'll stop Avines supposedly from spawning, and no more Falcons either. Probably going to want to go redfist next, or we just go for Derek straight up. Let's make some of these frontliners here. I said I was going to do this last time, but I would like to compare the Crystal Golems and the Gladiators. Again, I don't know what footage I kept in, so let's go ahead and read our faction and character knowledge. The Centaurs are a race... Oh, this is from Okri's perspective, by the way. The Centaurs are a race of nomads that have lived in Sauria for a long time. Apparently, they've managed to live with the Saurians in relative peace until their nobles decided that they didn't want horsemen on their land and started a war with the horsemen. The Centaurs are not exactly a warlike people by nature, but the dangerous creatures living in Sauria and their long war with the humans has turned them into skilled warriors. However, both the infamous pikemen of Sauria and the mighty Order of the Arkain are too powerful for them. On their own, the Centaurs would not be able to win this war. Flamidus. I'm not well versed in Centaur culture, but from what I hear, Flamidus was destined to become the leader of his people from his birth. No idea how old he actually is, but I bet that the old Zermac was already old when Flamidus was born, and neither of them seem particularly young. He's a calm and wise leader of his people. You would expect someone who can burn everything in his path to have more of a fiery temper. Flamidus doesn't seem to hate the humans despite having fought the war with them for a long time. At least he was pretty kind towards Vanessa and speaks well of the ordinary people of Sauria. He appears to regret having to fight this war, but he knows that the alternative is to have his people slaughtered. I'm surprised that there are still sane bearmen left. On our travels through the Pearl of Lore, all bearmen we met had lost their minds and mindlessly attacked anyone they met. Not sure what to make of this big bear yet. The endurance of both him and his people is respectable. There is something about him that is rather curious, though I can't put my finger on what it is. Well, he's a bear. He's a bear man. I guess that alone is pretty curious. Grella Bone Splitter goes down. Honestly, I'm half tempted to just keep this roll going. I mean, if we can get more of these War Zeppelins out. I think in the the old version of these were not, oh no, that's our Phoenix. Good, good, good. I think the old version of the War Zeppelins were like near melee range. They like dropped bombs like gyrocopters, but I think these are now basically destructors. Okay, Cassius goes down, which I think means we want to go and attack them pretty soon. We have a ring of regen on the ground. Go ahead, One Eye. Amari just chipping away at that single building. I mean, if Flamidus wants to keep going, I'll follow him into Cassius's base. Cassius is dead, so yeah. Okay, quantity over quality. More mercenaries, please.
We're under attack.
I guess let's clean this up completely so that we don't get too distracted. Oh, that's a waste. Hey, you know what? I'll take low upkeep. That's fine. I think I built too many of these anyway. I only want 2 or 3. They're 12 supply. Oh, those aren't my units. That's fine. And that's not Flamidus either. Let's just kind of stick to this area. So purple will continue to attack us, and they can kind of hit from any direction because they're smack dab in the middle of the map. Can I give my honest opinion of this map? It's good. I like it. But what it feels like the Walmart brand of Pride of the Empire. You know? Boar Regiment. Okay, my hope is, yes, exactly. This is going to pull my allies. This is going to pull Cliffhunter Clan into them, so I don't have to worry about it. Continue making shady mercenary contracts. Ooh, and we did get a bodyguard that spawned. We got to come back and break open the magical vault finally, too. Flamidus is continuing into Cassius's base. Against my better judgment, let's go. He will have softened them up by the time we get over there, and Cassius was dead at the time. Make regular rock golems. Let's get some shaman and necrolites, please. Crystal golems, gladiators. And if we can get our heroes up there to support. Unfortunately, Flamidus's folks are already dead, but we've softened them up, I think, decently. Oh, look out, One Eye. Actually, use Whirlwind and actually be useful for once, even if it kills them. Okay, shout. Make him miss a lot. Flamidus himself is still alive, so I think we have a decent chance here. Let's just make sure we continue building units. And I see Cassius himself being respawned here. Let's absolutely disallow that, please. I'm going to go ahead and Tranquility right now. If we can destroy this before he comes back, oh, that would be excellent. Bodyguard unit, get in there too. Oh, good. Okay, he is not coming back. Destroying this base is an actual objective as far as I know too, right? Kill Commander Thorn. And destroy the base of the Knights of Sauria. So Commander Thorn is in this base, I'm pretty sure. We've read our lore. We haven't opened this yet. We'll go back to base after this is done, and we will do that. I thought I built another blimp. Did I lose multiple? Did I lose multiples? That would be unfortunate, but if it happened, it happened. That's fine. Again, they are so much supply. You know what? I will build one more. Like, having 1 or 2 is super solid, but I think, like, one of these is, like, catapults are what? 4 supplies. So one of these, in terms of supply, is 3 catapults. Now, to be fair, this flies. It has more HP. It's way more versatile, so, like, that's all well and good. Focus down the castle, please. And at a certain point, this might become a bit of a race against time, because we want to get down there and kill Redfist before my allies actually finish the map straight up. Hood of Cunning, that's perfect for Amari, if you ask me. And let's just clear this area out completely. See, the Crystal Golems are 5 supply, the Rock Golems are 4. Do I have any Gladiators alive? Because, again, I want to compare here. That's Borean.
Direct me.
Okay, and here's a champion. We can actually look at the difference here. 1,000 HP, 12 armor, normal attack speed, and they're magic resistant. 1100, that's because of the upgrade we gave them. 13 armor. Normal attack speed. 50 to 70. Okay, so I think the Crystal Golem, they have 100 less HP, but they're magic resistant, whereas the Gladiator...
Our allied town is being attacked.
That's hard to say. I think the Gladiator is... They're very similar. All I can say is they're very similar. What's going on over here? Is this still Redfist giving us a problem? And then those are the flyers. Again, we could build a huge air force and get rid of the flyers. I'm not going to, but we could. Okay, good work. Next, we're going to come all the way back to the center of the map.
Speak your mind. Make it fun.
And we're just going to chill there for a while. We're just going to chill there for a while. Let me check my mercenary contracts, by the way. In progress. In progress. So the only enemies left are Bloodstones, who I'm not even going to bother with because there's no reward for destroying them. The Redfist, which maybe there's a reward for destroying them, I'm not sure. And then the actual objective. And then let's bring our heroes back real quick so that we can pop open whatever's in this vault. Wherever it is. Here it is. And then we'll do some item management as well. Let's see. Just double checking I didn't leave any random units at home. It doesn't seem like it.
I can do that. Yes.
One Eye getting levels. This is good. Again, we need to get these heroes leveled up. They've really struggled. Casual Arcane Vault.
How can I help?
Go get it. Arcane Sanctum, excuse me. How could I be so stupid?
Yes. What?
Okay. And then we have to try and make some plans to kill,
Research complete.
we gotta try and make some plans to maybe kill Redfist, which scares me, but we've got to do it. I should probably actually take some bases now, and I never fully saturated this base. I think the best thing I did now on this second attempt was build the extra town halls and just get the mercenary contracts going nonstop at all of them. That's probably the best thing you could do in terms of income, because it is very difficult to hold down these outside bases because there's so many enemies. It's actually crazy. Okay, pop this open.
Absolutely.
A fair deal indeed. You get this powerful artifact, and in exchange we get to keep the gold that we found inside the vault. After all, we were the ones who found it in the first place. A pleasure doing business with you. Arcane Book of Brilliance.
Speak your mind.
Is this a tome or is this an item?
Standing guard.
Ready to work.
Increases intelligence by 8, also grants the hero the ability to cast bolts of lightning that deal damage to multiple targets.
Make it fast.
Am I missing a hero? Who am I missing? Zermac? No, he's here. Borean. He's stuck. Okay. Okay, let's do some item management momentarily, and then we will formulate how we want to attack Redfist, and then I think Purple will go down very easily after that. I don't know how long the cinematics at the end are going to be. Probably very long, and then, of course, I like to talk about the story and stuff as we go, so... but killing Redfist might actually be very difficult. We will see. Okay, so
I am sworn to
you don't need this. Let's give you a circlet. And then Zermac, give the gloves of haste to
What is your
in
will?
position.
Amari.
And for my ancestors.
And then you take the Book of Brilliance. And then
Make it fast.
does Amari... We probably want to...
Can wait no
Oh.
Our town is under attack.
Again, we kind of want to like spread some of this stuff out.
We're under attack.
I was just say I'm never gonna like. It seems like no matter where I try and set up a base, they all will go that way. Even though I hadn't even sent the worker up there.
Speak your mind.
Maybe let's open up a slot on Amari here for later. Periapt
Make
is
it
fine.
fast.
Ready for battle. What would you ask of me?
I mean, everything is
I am sworn to
pretty good here. Let's come on down here and start moving towards Redfist.
Wrecking crew here.
And what do we want to make that could help against redfist? We should probably make some get some casters into the fight, maybe some necrolytes just to help. And again, we can rely on our allies here. We can rely on the centaur to defend themselves and survive. Come to save your friends, have you? Well, you're too late. No orc collaborators shall live. Okay, these are like legit redfist units. These aren't just like the conscripted. Well, I guess that nobody's really conscripted, but like these are like the normal guys that are like a little mad. These are like the really mad guys. What was that madman talking about? Why are they burning their own people? The centaurs have told me that most of the villagers did not mind the presence of their tribes. On the contrary, some of them even traded with the horsemen. However, when the nobles and armies returned after the last war against the demons, they declared the centaurs enemies of Sauria, and all trade was forbidden. Ooh la la.
Bring it on. How many town is being attacked?
In position.
Okay.
My way.
Again, I don't want to accidentally trigger this before we're ready, but again, there's a map event here
Make it fast.
that got kind of messed up the last time I tried to come down here, so let's do it correct. And since the centaurs are our allies now, and the crimson armored humans hate us... Ooh, this actually works out pretty well. If they're sending out an attack wave, we can wipe this. And then attack.
I walk fast.
Fallen Knight of Comb, that's pretty cool.
I shall not fear.
So we shout, we hit him with a rock. I don't know, One Eye, where you're at, but go ahead and spin. Oh, that's good. That's on Sir Meccan. That's actually not bad at all. Stun him again. And if we can just continue making some frontline support that can follow up here. Okay, quick save now, because this is perfect. If we can just keep wiping out these attacks that are spawning, then we go and we trigger the event.
Under attack. Direct me.
Come on down here.
What is your will?
Okay, here we go. I just saved.
Good
This
one.
may or may not work well. The Murlocs heed the call of our new allies. Like a massive tidal wave, we shall wash over the Saurians and their Imperial allies. Okay.
Make it fast.
And there they are. Ori Redfist is obliterating them, unfortunately, but they are distracting things for me.
We're under attack.
We have to stun her. She's up there. Wait, use the net? The net counts as an interrupt, doesn't it? How about a frostbolt? Can we hit her from here? Okay, she stopped. Okay, this is the event that if you accidentally trigger it too early, this base becomes near impossible to break. But we've done it. Let's keep these two fellas alive, and in fact add them to our hero group. And then where's Borean? Let's just move you up here and start tranquilitying. Ori Redfist has been introduced and has taunted us. The Murlocs heed the call. You love to see it. What's a woman like you doing among these murderous fanatics? They're my father's soldiers, and I am here to lead them against you. I don't really care much for your kind, but father wants you gone, and I'm happy to oblige. So we've been introduced to 3 Redfist daughters now. We have Ori Redfist, who's with the actual Redfist faction. We have Edale Redfist, who's been disowned by her father and is now struggling with a demon possession. She's sort of working in tandem, but also has an adversarial relationship with control over her own mind with Lysara. And then we have Cora Redfist, who is the head of the Coastal Guard, who is embracing dark undead-type magics and working with Gardon. Okay, Ori Redfist is still here. She's a problem. Let's go ahead and focus down the actual structures, please. Go ahead and become Rockman. That was not the real one. Yo, loving this. Okay, we get some of these dudes out. Let's focus down this. So yeah, if you move any unit close to this base, the Murlocs spawn, and if you're not ready to run in and basically support them instantly, they just die immediately. It's a big bummer. And again, it happened to me, and I was like, well, I'd almost rather just replay this straight up. I still haven't really experimented with what the healing... bearmen can do. But I know that it's not... Did nothing drop from this base? I know that it's not healing wards, so I'm not interested. Are they even trying to rebuild Edale? Dude, those Fallen Knights of Combe are scary. Hopefully we don't see many more of them. Okay, this felt way better than, again, I didn't, you know, this felt way better than my previous go. Because basically, as soon as I spawned those Murlocs and realized I couldn't do anything with them, I was like, I'm just going to redo this, because I didn't have a close save or anything like that. I was leading but a vanguard of my father's forces. You have no idea what's coming, Orcs. See you again soon. The coward teleported away. Given the sheer hatred that drives these soldiers, we can be certain that they'll be back. It has completely consumed them. He says from the afterlife. What's wrong? Nothing. Focus on the battle for now, not on fleeing enemies. Bloodstones are over here to the right, and again, there's no ground path to get to them. What is... Oh, the watery minion selection circle is all messed up. A lot of the Naga selection circles are messed up, actually. Wait, so is it true that nothing actually dropped here? Nothing dropped out of this base, huh? Belt of Giant Strength. Borean? Okay, I'm gonna poise myself to attack purple and then just get into range and then just save. Not save. Heal with Borean. I will save too, though. That sounds like a great idea. I think just having a couple of these Zeppelins, similar to Destructors, just sort of chilling, is an excellent choice. This is such an interesting map in the sense that, like, I'm glad that I didn't... I'm actually really glad that I didn't try and take and hold a bunch of outlying bases. It honestly would just add to the difficulty of the map substantially. Dude, this dude's... The mutant Murloc has flippin' cripple. But yeah, of course, Ori... She teleported away. What a coward. Like, yeah, of course she did. The only way that a character in Legends of Arkain can actually die is if it's at the hands of another character who is finishing up their quest for vengeance. Okay? That's the only way to progress a character's storyline here. Alright, Zermac, get back up to the front. So we have one base left. What are we at? 23 minutes. I'm going to guess that the cinematic is going to be super duper long, though. So maybe this will just be a long video, because I mean, I could tack it on to the end of this. Or not. Maybe I just don't do that. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. Contracts. Okay, they just drew out a large attack. Let's go ahead and use this group.
As the goddess wills. I'm game.
These guys especially. Yeah, sure, make some war mechs. I quite like these rock golems. Again, our leadership boni is in them as well. Commander Thorn is taunting us. Crushing wave here. I would like to keep these alive, though. That's actually pretty important. Thorn's Shock Trooper. Well, I don't like that one. Oh, get out of there. Again, he's got an aura. We'd like to keep that up. Whoop, didn't mean to hit that. I'm hitting the alt button so that I can actually see. Okay, we're killing his... I was going to say we're killing his other dudes. Zap him? I don't know. Soul burn him? Dude, this guy is insane. He has more HP than the Destroyer. How dare you? He's the actual objective. Oh, we have to destroy the base as well. Kill Commander Thorn. Okay. And then we got to read the taunts, of course. I'm not like the others, Orcs. Lay down your weapons and you will be shown mercy. I've heard of your mercy, human. The women, the children, the old and crippled. Scorched! Shot! You kill even your own kind. You Red Helms know no mercy. We won't listen to your lies. Then you forced my hand, Orc. I'll make it quick. Interesting that we have a redfist guy here who is willing to show us mercy at all. You know? Well, there he goes. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Fire hand gauntlets. Yes, please. Yes, please. Okay, well, let's get our units in, and then we'll figure that out. While Thorn is dead, he actually seemed like the biggest holdup of this base. The Murloc showing up is really cool, too. That's a new faction that we haven't seen prior to this. Here's what we're going to do. Drop the circlet. Amari, pick up the fire hand gauntlets. You gotta move, though. Murloc Juggernaut. Armor by 5, attack rate by 20 is excellent. You know what I'm going to do, actually? He's got 2 Robe of the Magi. His mana regen is never going to be a problem. So we drop this. It's 6 stats one way or another, but this gives him a little more health. So, you know, 6 intelligence versus 2 + 2 + 2 is fine. He loses 4 damage. Oh, good. He's got his level 2. Yeah, 4 damage is not making a big difference for him. It's less than 10% of his health. Yeah, I think that's fine. And everyone else's items, I think, are in a good spot. All right. This mission was pretty difficult. That you didn't see the attempt. Again, that's another one. It's like I could have kept the footage, but it would have pushed this into probably too many more videos. But we have cinematics. I bet this video is going to end up being over an hour for that reason. But that's okay. I could also put it into a separate video if I really wanted to. I might just do that. I might put the epilogue into a different video just so that I can discuss the story beats from it. I haven't done that very much. I've just complained a lot about the number of characters. Okay, good stuff, good stuff. I'm going to hydrate. Purple's too busy up here still sending an attack wave out. Meanwhile, they've lost their redfist support in their base and have gotten completely obliterated. One thing I didn't talk much about either is, like, there's clear tensions between Kingdom and Imperials. Like the Saurians, how the Imperials basically just outright killed the Saurian guy. That was Ori Redfist, right? Like, they just have disdain for the Kingdoms. They just think they're, like, stupid and can't defend themselves. And I know there's a short story. I have read all the short stories because I'm a crazy person. I don't remember them all because it's a lot of content, but there was a short story that was like, it was about Zoya and just like the amount of disdain she has for people from the Kingdom as well. There's just like a superiority complex with people from the Imperium, or the Empire, excuse me. This is not 40k. Everyone's items seem good. Grants the hero the ability to cast bolts of lightning that deal damage. So forked lightning, if it's level 1 forked lightning, it's kind of like, who cares? My bandwidth is spent elsewhere, but we read the lore. We got the thing from the vault. I think our item management is in a good spot. All of our heroes that can't attack air already have an orb now. I am happy with this. You've slain many of our warriors, human. Your resilience is truly impressive, and unlike your generals, you didn't run away. You fought to the last. And yet, you were unlike the rest of your Redfist. With the exception of their leader, they all fell in battle, just like the former Knights of Combe that accompanied them. Their blind hatred made them fight to the last. But you, there was none in you, in spite of being one of them. I suppose we'll never know now that you're dead. You might have been an enemy, but you were an honorable one who was lacking the hatred of your red brethren. A hatred that has long driven my own actions as well. I'm beginning to see that now. Zeramak rethinking his ways with a tepid pause? You have my thanks, my friends. Without you, the Centaurs would not have survived this battle. The war may not be over, but now we have a fighting chance against the Saurians. It was an honor fighting by your side, Flammidus. We're looking forward to doing it again in the future. We have a long way to go to reach our goals. You have fought well, Grofzag, though I'm not surprised. You were always quite the warrior. Sass, on the other hand. You don't give your brother enough credit, Amari. Am I really? Sass is sitting in the camp while we stand here in the enemy garrison, Grofzag, and sends you ahead, as he always does. Tepid pause. The arrival of the Imperials and the Dwarves is concerning. They could change the balance of power in this conflict in favor of the Saurians. I agree, which is why Grofzag and I will depart to meet the knowles on Knoll Island. The Imperial regiments are weakened from the war on the Kingdom of Lore, and now from their defeat here as well. If we can reinforce our army with the knowles, and maybe the ogres if Father is successful, we'll be able to outmatch our foes. Traveling to Knoll Island is not without risk, but I agree that the knowles would be a great ally to have, if they are willing. What do you mean? The knowles may be beasts in appearance, and there are many, mostly those who do not live on the island, who embrace their more bestial side, but most of them are rather disciplined and organized like humans. The knowles used to be slaves to the humans in the past, before the rise of the kingdoms. Indeed, the now long-gone nation of Juinar has enslaved the knowles and even managed to tame and civilize them. The knowles broke free of their chains when the nation fell into chaos. However, they still have a strange fascination for the society of humans and the nation of Juinar. They have no love for Sauria, however, since the Saurians have been trying to take Knoll Island for themselves ever since the dawn of the kingdoms. My people have had contact with them in the past, trying to establish relations. However, the knowles have insisted on continuing the isolationism that they have embraced ever since they gained their freedom. Their independence is very important to them. If that is the case, why do you think they will join us, Amari? The knowles' isolationism is not respected by the humans. Both pirates and the Saurians have been trying to take their home from them for many generations. We can offer them a chance to be rid of Sauria once and for all. It will not be easy to convince them to work with us, and I expect them to be quite stubborn, but they will take the chance when they see it. I hope you're right. Trust me, Grofzag, I am. You and I will go and meet them while the others secure this bridgehead into Sauria and keep pushing further inland. Very well. I will gather some warriors. Thank you. I'll be with you shortly. Something on your mind, Flammidus? My people are thankful for your aid. Some, however, have concerns about the warlike ways of your people. They fear that our alliance with the Orcs will involve us in more wars after finishing the one in Sauria. Wars that are the result of warmongering ambitions. I understand these concerns, Flammidus. However, my people are undergoing a massive change in their society. They've lost everything and must now learn that they cannot keep going the way they're used to. A new era is upon them, and I will do anything within my power to make them accept it. I'm sure you will. Personally, I have no concerns about our alliance. Our people will prosper together. We will. You have my word. So, you're going to Knoll Island. I have to inform Duke Redfist. Celebrate this victory, Greenskins. You have no idea what is coming your way. Grand Pyromancer Zelik. Is this like an Imperial fire elemental order, or is this like is he like the head of the Order of the Flame? Or is that Harmos? No, it's not. There's a different guy. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that all lines up, but because Redfist is an Imperial force, I think this guy is not Order of the Flame. I think it's a different guy. Okay, we quit campaign. Do we want to watch the huge... Gotta, like, break my mouse wheel scrolling all the way to the bottom. Do we want to watch Divine Wrath now? I have no idea how long it will be, and then, of course, I would like to talk a bit about the story, but I'm afraid that if I start watching this now, it's going to be like 20 to 30 minutes more. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Divine Wrath. As the invasion of Sauria by the Orcs and their allies commences and the war between the different human factions intensifies after a new queen has been put on the Elven throne, the demons keep making progress. While their attempts to invade Sauria have failed, they are pushing Carol's defenders back further and further. High Lord Inquisitor Reynold Van Duris has left the capital of Carol to take control of a fortress set up by the Golden Guard, the place from which they want to unleash their new yet unfinished weapon. And in the meantime, the Watcher of Arkain watches the events unfold from the top of his mountain, and he doesn't like what he sees. I'm excited about this. If Eridon, whatever cutscene is going to involve Eridon, I hope we get some clue on what's going on from the Undead perspective. I'm looking forward to it. So, Golden Guard is sort of helping, but they are losing, especially when they're facing, player-controlled factions. But otherwise, it seems like they do pretty good against demons, is my understanding. But Reynold is realizing that things aren't going great. The Golden Guard does not appreciate being called upon like some lapdog, Dorton. Your messenger claims you wish to speak with me in person, and that you had captured the traitor Bloodclaw. I find that rather hard to believe. The only reason why I've even come here is because I am the commander of the garrison of the Golden Guard in your capital and have certain obligations due to that privilege. Now speak, my time is short. Tepid pause. It is true that Gardon Bloodclaw is not here, Captain. However, it is only a matter of time until that changes. I've invited him to come here. Invited him? What an ingenious plan. He'd run right into our arms by coming here. Why would he risk that? I will tell you, Imperial. For too long, my people have allowed your kind to rule over us. Accepting to become vassals of the Empire during the last war was one of the greatest mistakes of our realms. Desperation and opportunity lured us into your Imperial claws. But no longer. Tepid pause. Dorton, don't do this. It'll be the last mistake you ever make. Even if the High Lord doesn't get you, the demons will. I've been informed that your Golden Guard intended to leave us to die at their hands anyway. Working with you no longer benefits the kingdoms. You have betrayed us and will pay the price. As we speak, your men in the city are already being burned alive. Your garrison has been set aflame. Filthy traitor, you will regret this. Archers, kill them. This is just the beginning. All over the kingdoms, the remnants of the Golden Guard will be hunted down and destroyed. Their arrogance led to their downfall, and with their fall, the kingdom shall be free once more. Inform Bloodclaw's messenger that the deed has been done, Tories. We've removed the Golden Guard from the capital and are ready to discuss the terms of an alliance. As you wish, Father. It's time you told me the truth, Brian. I want to know what you know about this Eridon character and what role you and the Undead play in all of this. And there are still other things regarding recent events and the Empire itself you have yet to tell me. Of course, I promise to tell you more after the situation with the elves was settled, which it is. I'll tell you everything. I hope you have enough time. This will take a while. Oh, we have to go back to the first days of the world itself. Go ahead. When the gods were still young, they created this world, and its first race, the Arcanians. Unfortunately for them, their creation was flawed. Quite flawed, actually. It took a long time for them to realize it, but the Arcanians eventually began to die out. Something about a plague? I read the short stories recently. The gods blamed each other and began a war against themselves, a war that also spread to the faithful Arcanian followers. The gods began killing each other. As they died, their very essence fell into the ground of Arkain. The combination of several such essences resulted in the birth of the Four: Zindrak, the demon god, Tregok, the dark one, Bahrizal, the master of shadows, and Eridon, the avatar of death. You're telling me that the master of the undead is literally a creature with the power of several gods, and yet the undead can rebel against him, and the demons can invade our lands with him not doing anything about it? Dude, he's true neutral. Okay? There's a reason why Eridon goes by the moniker the Watcher nowadays, but Eridon also no longer possesses the same power as back then. Anyways, as the four were born, they saw the gods destroy the world and stop them in the only way they knew, by destroying the gods. The four were still young and confused, acting impulsively rather than really thinking about it first. They struck and killed the remaining gods, who were probably quite surprised about the whole affair. The world was close to total collapse due to the War of the Gods, and the Arcanians were no more. The four could feel that the world was about to be destroyed and used their powers to prevent that from happening. They took the place of the gods. They watched the primitive races that had survived develop, and created their own races as well. Eredon created the Dark Elves, Bahrazel and the Shadows, and Zindrak the Demons. Only Tregok the Dark One didn't wish to create his own race, though I do not know why. Anyways, there was relative harmony. Fitting musical cue right there. You heard it? I find it hard to believe that there can be such harmony as long as there are still any demons left. Oh, they were different back then. Poor Zindrak might not even recognize them if he saw them today. So, a new world order was established, so to speak. How did it all go to hell then? And how did you end up in the Empire, Bahrazel? Please, call me Brian. It might sound less imposing, but I'm no longer who and what I was back then, in more ways than one. Anyways, the peace lasted for a long time, but it would not last forever. Tregok the Dark One betrayed us. He stole members of the races we had created and twisted them into his own servants. He could have just asked nicely. It was an unexpected move, to be honest. He seemed content with living alone on his continent. We couldn't really afford trying to figure out what was happening. Eredon assured us that a prolonged war between the four with their divine powers would probably destroy the entire world, just as the War of the Gods almost had, so we struck before Tregok could. It was a massacre, to put it mildly. My memories are not very clear about what exactly happened that day. I tried to reason with Tregok, and the next thing I remember is that we were fighting, and I was losing. I was on the brink of death when Zindrak grabbed Tregok and tore him apart, throwing his pieces all over the world. Do you really not remember the details, or are you still keeping secrets from me? If I wanted to keep any secrets here, I wouldn't have told you that Tregok bested and almost killed me. Fine, continue. Well, it didn't end there. Just as soon as Zindrak was done and we believed it to be over, Eredon stabbed Zindrak in the back. He had been obsessed with some balance for some time already and believed that when the four were only three, that balance was upset, so he decided to, as he put it, put an end to the four. Zindrak exploded, literally. Bahrazel died in the explosion. Tregok's continent sunk. The demons and their lands were devastated. They were scarred forever. Even Eredon didn't manage to leave unharmed, even though he escaped it. While he walked away from the conflict as the last surviving member of the four, Eredon certainly is no longer as powerful as he was before. He still is very powerful and dangerous, though. Eredon is the reason why the Undead exist as a faction, and I cannot imagine how many corpses he has at his disposal. With the four disbanded, Eredon then decided to become a mere watcher of Arkain, letting mortals find their place without interference. Unfortunately, as time progressed, his belief was that he could never be wrong made him act rather than watch when he was under the impression that his precious balance was threatened. If you or Bahrazel died, then how are you standing here in front of me right now? A small part of Bahrazel's essence survived the explosion. It was locked away by what little remained of my shadow race in an ancient temple on the continent of Rodan. Until I found it, or rather, until the original Lord Brian did. He had already begun experimenting with the use of shadow magic and used his vast riches to fund an expedition to the temple. He entered it with his family, friends, and the entirety of his household of mercenary forces. Inside the temple, he found the last bit of Bahrazel's essence that had remained. They merged, which was not intentional. For a long time, I wandered aimlessly through the endless halls of the temple. My mind was in a state of pure chaos and confusion. The soul of Bahrazel, or what remained of it, had merged with the soul of Brian, creating an entirely new entity that was both Brian and Bahrazel, yet I was neither of them. It took many decades until my mind had restored itself. I turned into the Brian who eventually became your mentor, and the only one who left that temple alive. I know I've told you parts of the story in the past, and you have put a few things together yourself. I believe it is still good for you to hear the full story from me, personally. So, it's all the fault of Eredon and this Tregok that we're in this mess. That doesn't make me hate the demons any less, though. Indeed, though Tregok is probably also behind this demon invasion. He isn't dead, at least not anymore. I'm not sure how, but I assume his pieces have started to put him back together. What his plans are, I cannot say, but he infiltrated both the Empire and the demons, though I'm fairly certain he is no longer among the latter. Even for him, it would be quite a feat to stay among them for an extended period of time without being noticed. So, how likely is it that the undead elf told the truth? That there was a rebellion within the undead forces? Would a creature like Eredon let such a thing happen? Eredon cannot control those undead he has not raised, or that have not been raised through his own creations. His power is not unrestricted. If Rahandir Drakeskull has indeed not been risen by him, and I believe that to be the case after having met his servants, then he makes his own decisions. Whether or not they told the truth is a different matter. You decided to accept their offer, and so far they have kept their end of the bargain. Either way, Eredon has no interest in the demons winning their invasion to begin with, so he might yet let you proceed. I would still remain cautious. Eredon is an expert in stabbing others in the back, after all. You've been warned! Loud and clear, Gardon. I assume that even after the demon threat has been dealt with, he will be a threat. Perhaps. He hasn't been a direct threat for generations. He doesn't want mankind to be eradicated. He sees humans as part of the balance, so there is that. I see. Very well, we'll have to watch our backs. But we knew that already. It's too early to think about these things when there are still enough enemies around. I can't say that I like the fact that the four seem to be coming back, one by one. What if this demon god awakens next? Zindrak is still dead, and I doubt that will change. His explosion caused massive devastation. Eredon survived because he escaped the explosion. I'm literally not the Bahrazel I used to be once, and Tregok could only come back by putting himself back together over many generations, and I don't think that he has been able to fully put himself back together. At least not yet. It's time to meet with Dorton. If this Dark One has infiltrated the Empire, then dealing with the Golden Guard quickly has become even more important than it already was. And his radiance will protect me. The faithful will be protected. In our hearts, his divine light shines. Death is part of life, and those who die in his service shall be reborn to sit by his side when the time is right. Pain is an illusion. There is no agony for those who have done him no wrong. My heart knows nothing but peace. Is that what they teach you at your preschool in Rodan? Do you believe this nonsense? I am but a tool. I am the extension of his will. In my service, I find solace and true happiness. I would assume so. You Imperial religious fanatics do like to turn your subjects into obedient servitors. No wonder your High Lord consider you a valuable tool. Blind and fanatical, just like the rest of your Golden Guard. This was a short story. You too have a master, don't you, Rahandir Drakeskull? How is blindly following the orders of your master any different from blindly following the orders of the High Lord? Interesting. I did not expect to find yet another Imperial who knew my name. Then again, I assume the mortals that survived their encounter with me have lived to tell the tale. But what do you know of me apart from my name? You were a legendary demon hunter in life. You defeated Rengar from its enemies for many decades. You were kind and good-hearted, filled with mercy and generosity. The people loved you, and the loyalty of your followers knew no bounds. You were the greatest hero of Rengar. And then, you fell in battle, betrayed and forsaken. How do you know all of this, child? My mother hails from Rengar. She married an Imperial and had moved to the Empire before I was born. My grandmother told me your story, and her grandmother had told her before. It means a lot to my family. Your last battle was not for naught. My family lived in the village that was close to your battlefield. The demons would have destroyed it if you had not defeated them. You were outnumbered. You and your men had been betrayed, yet you kept fighting, killing every single demon because you knew that otherwise innocents who would not be able to protect themselves would die. You fell, betrayed, and stabbed in the back by those you were loyal to, those you trusted. Some never forgot your name and deeds. You lost yourself to bitterness, but my powers as an angelic tell me that you are no vile being. Behind your facade there is sadness, anger, and pain. I did not expect this, but I see this as a sign of my God that there is still good in you. Tepid pause. Your God is dead, child, and a dead God gives no signs. He was obsessed with his own power, paranoid, foolish, egoistic, untrustworthy, self-destructive, just like my king was, just like all mortal rulers eventually turn out to be. I pity you, Lord Drakeskull. You were a good man who lost himself to the darkness of desperation. The betrayal has made you bitter and turned your heart to stone. It pains me to see you like this. I always liked the stories that my grandmother told me about you. I will pray to my God that you will find your peace one day, no matter what pain you inflict upon me. Tepid pause. Tell me, girl, are your mother and grandmother still alive? They are. Tepid pause. If you insist on praying to your dead god, then pray that you never meet them again. Tepid pause. Rahan, dear, I forgive you. You shouldn't. Ooh! Orders are orders. The master knows what he is doing. Uh-oh! Tepid pause from Eridon the Watcher. Something is amiss. My vision has never failed me before. Even if something did end up differently from what I intended, I could have already prepared for it and have emergency plans set in motion. The Orcs didn't succumb to infighting when they were supposed to. They marched towards the lines of the Imperials faster than they should have. Instead of dying between the waves of the humans and the demons, they broke through the lines and made it easier for the demons to push through. The Orcs seeking and succeeding in finding new allies, the arrival of the redfist, the return of my siblings, a branch of Orcs even worshipping me. I did not foresee this. I was incorrect. The Queen of the Elves should have been someone different. I couldn't foresee or prevent the attempt on her life. Solana barely survived and did so only due to sheer coincidence. Okay, the reference to the changes in narrative from the books, I like that. I have to reorganize my thoughts. Yes, they must have lost balance. That is how my vision could have been blurred. At least the alliance between the living and the dead could be forged, as I had planned, and a large portion of the Orcs still fell in battle. You want to speak with me, Master? Ah, there you are, Crom. I've been expecting you. I had to be careful. The humans may have accepted the pact, but their trust has its limits. Indeed, I must congratulate you for successfully deceiving Bahrazel, even though I am not exactly satisfied with the way you did it. You gave him information that he shouldn't possess. He already knows too much as it is. Telling him about the limits of my power or past attempts to raise the dead gods is a dangerous gamble. He gave me little choice in the matter. I had to add some truth to my story to make it believable. I prefer shooting people over deceiving them. Running into Bahrazel in the first place was bad enough as it is. I still don't quite understand the point of it all. I have my reasons, Crom. The mortals cannot defeat both their internal enemies and the demons at the same time. While I'm not happy with the details, the results so far have been mostly acceptable. The Orcs have acted very differently from what we had planned. Moving into Sauria and making alliances has been very successful for them. Yes, it has. They've done anything they could to not act as I had wanted them to. Almost as if... Wait. What's the... Bahrazel, of course! Now I see it. Every time I've been wrong, every time a detail from my vision ended up being deviant from reality, either Bahrazel or Tregok were involved. They've been playing me from the start, deceived me. They think they can outsmart me. They think they can destroy all I have worked for during my entire existence. Oh, but they're wrong. I was the one who protected this world while Bahrazel had been wasting his time cultivating some mortals. Tepid pause. While Traegok had put himself back together to be able to do literally anything, I prevented the mortals from killing themselves. While Zindrak is still dead, I'm defending the continent from his unthankful servants. I mean, you kind of caused it, though, right? By killing him in the first place? I was the only one who actually defended this world. I allowed its races to grow, only interfering when I had to, and keeping most of my interference as small and discreet as possible. They did nothing. They played games, just like they did back when the Force still existed. The Orcs should never have set foot on this continent. Someone helped them. Barazel, I bet. Well then, he tried to destroy the balance, then I will destroy the tools he wanted to use for it. The Orcs will die by my hands, and so will all of his apprentices if he doesn't get in line. He will do as I say. No more games. The humans will unite their forces and defeat the demons. If they fail, I will just raise them and use my vast armies to do it in their stead. Meanwhile, our forces will utterly eradicate the Orcs and their allies. The Bone Lords have slept for too long. It's time for them to return to service and lead the charge. Mark my words, Crom. No Orc will be left standing when this war is over. Not a single one. What about the ones beneath the dead mountain? The ones that, worship you? Be gone. Shocking. It was Eredon's plan all along. Except, the big difference is he's just obsessed with the fact that he, for some reason, cannot control what the Orcs do. It's not so much that he can't control them, it's that he cannot foresee what they're going to do. Let me go ahead and just make a pause in the video while we get back to the main menu. Anyway, we'll get back to the Eredon stuff later. That was at the end of the cinematic, and I'm trying to look back to the beginning before too much time passes and I forget. We started with the Kingdom's betrayal of the Golden Guard, which is a very important part to the story that I feel like the second Human book wasn't as clear on, but eventually the Kingdoms just got into an alliance with the Iron Fist, and they helped us against the Golden Guard. This really solidified and expanded Dorton's character a bit more in that he is resentful that they were essentially colonized by the Imperials because they needed their help against the demons in the First Void War. So this is kind of a neat idea here where they betray the Golden Guard, and now the Golden Guard are basically on their own. They have that big fortress, which is a big part of the later missions, and they're just sort of stuck there, and if there are any stragglers, they're getting betrayed and killed by the Kingdoms, which is kind of stupid when you think about it, because the demons are still invading, the Undead are still running rampant, and the Orcs are still invading Sauria. But, nah, let's just go ahead and wipe out. This seems like the perfect time to betray the Golden Guard. Let's not wait a little bit longer. We're going to do it now. Anyway, I think, for me, the most interesting part with that is the Imperial regiments. Like, the Golden Guard in Van Doors is going to really be wanting some friends now because he doesn't have any left. And they don't really have a directive on this continent anymore. They failed to protect and evacuate Renova and the rest of the elves. So now they're just sort of left here. They don't really have a direction. They kind of want to fight the demons, I guess, but the Kingdoms hate them. So they're going to be isolated. And then we have these random regiments that are around the continent as well that might try to start falling back in with the Golden Guard because they too will presumably be hunted by the combined army of the Kingdoms. So that's pretty interesting. The Rahandir piece, I think that was taken from a short story that Shar had written, that interaction with Saint Lorraine. But what I find really interesting about it is this whole runaround with the confusing nature of information on, like, did the Undead actually betray Eredon? Did they not? We now know that it's, all controlled by Eredon, which is pretty much what I expected. But what it did do is it made it very clear that Rahandir actually can work outside of Eredon's control if he wants to. He's not, and we were sort of tricked into thinking that he is, but he does have the capability of doing that. And it's interesting because Rahandir is a character where he raised himself as an undead, I think, if I'm understanding correctly. Eredon did not raise him. Rahandir was just so mad at the circumstances of his death and betrayal that he just brought himself back and then has chosen to work with Eredon since then. And I think that conversation with Saint Lorraine is intriguing because it seems like she sort of planted the seeds of, like, hey, you actually could work outside of Eredon's control if you want. And so maybe Rahandir is starting to see that Eredon's going a bit loony. He's super obsessed with the Orcs and the fact that he doesn't have the foresight to know what they're going to do, and they keep acting outside of his control. That maybe Rahundir is going to want to step in and work separately. Again, I think this whole roundabout way with the information being presented the way it was actually quite clever, because all the questions that I asked were very neatly answered here. I just needed to be patient, and also made it clear, revealed information such that we know that it's not a lie, that Rahundir can in fact do what he wants, which I think is cool, as well as Crom, as well as the Bone Lords, because they existed before Eredon did. So Eredon raised them, but they do have some semblance of free will as well, which is scary in terms of the Bone Lords, because I think that they're Scarrick Nexus crazies, but they've been asleep for a really long time, and they're only waking up now. The Brian cinematic with Gardon, to me, the information conveyed there was really, now Gardon knows the players, the big players behind the scenes pulling the strings. I think it was made pretty clear that Tregok is controlling the Emperor in some fashion. It's unclear if Tregok is the Emperor, like he's replaced the Emperor, he's mind-fucked him like Cellier was, or, what the relationship there is. But basically, the Imperials are working, to some extent, doing what Tregok wants them to do. That was a really important key there, and same with the demon invasion. It was probably manipulated to happen because of him. I do think that the exposition dump was a bit much. I don't think it needed to be that long. It could have been like, some time passes and then the scene fades back in and Gardon's like, oh, I understand, thank you for explaining it to me, kind of thing. Because a lot of the information, if not all of the information that Brian shared, besides how he became Brian, was revealed at some other point. Like, there was that mission with Edel and Salamar in that island temple where we got some Xernexus information about it as well. Like, I think a lot of this information was shared at other parts of the story, and I do think that the players could have been trusted to put that together on their own. That scene here felt like Brian was just looking right into the camera and saying, hey, you don't have to speculate anymore on the forums. Here's exactly what happened from start to finish. And I just think maybe it was a little bit much. To be fair, there is still some nebulousness around what actually happened when Eredon chose to betray the demon god, and also how and why Eredon chose to trick his two brothers into killing, or rather attacking at least, the Dark One. We don't know the Dark One's motivations, both then and now. He just seems like he's sending people to, invade, etc., etc. It seems bad, but we don't really know what he's wanted, right? We don't know his motivations. We just sort of take for granted that he's evil. But, we don't know if Eredon tricked his brothers into it, or if it was all justified, right? And even Brian said, like, I am a Frankenstein's monster of my past self. There's just, like, bits and pieces of me put back together, so I don't remember. That felt very purposeful, the fact that he just outright said, like, even I don't remember anymore. So I still think that there's some motivations around the Dark One that we don't know, and I really hope we get that information as sort of like a climactic meeting of the three brothers. That would be really neat at the end of this campaign, or something that actually ties up that information gap. Would be really nice related to the Dark One. And then, of course, Eredon at the end, it all comes down to, I feel like, Eredon's obsession with the Orcs. And I always have been frustrated with the character in the past. I never really liked Eredon as a character, but now I actually kind of do. I actually do quite a bit, because he's very interesting. And I think in order to do that, what I had to do was just accept the fact that a character's desire to be an arbiter of balance is simply an identity. There doesn't even have to be a reason for it, but it is just, it's the true neutral character alignment definition. It's a character that wants to be the ultimate arbiter of balance, where everybody is equal. And just knowing that that is simply who Eredon is at his core as an identity makes me accept it a lot more, and just, he's just a flawed character for wanting that, but there doesn't need to be some reason that is either right or wrong that drives that. It's possible there is a reason and he hasn't really shared it, but, it being a reason in and of itself, just that equality amongst the factions, now that I've sort of accepted that is just, that's fine, I feel like allows me to view Eredon as a lot more of an interesting character. And also, it perfectly encapsulates his meltdown over the fact that the Orcs falling outside of that. The last thing is my question about Eredon's desire for wanting artifacts recently. Like, he wanted that Scepter of Death, which we retrieved for him underground that the Dark Elves had in the caves. And then he wanted the Mask of Illusions from the capital of Toran, which Rahandir and Sir Edorus, whatever his name is, however you pronounce it. It's spelled weird. How do you pronounce that guy's name? We retrieved for him there when Gardon was captured. I don't know what the Mask of Illusions is. The Scepter of Death, he said he could just use it to kill anybody that approaches the Dead Mountain, which is fine. But it feels like he wanted these two things to accomplish something in particular by combining them, and I'm curious. I feel like that's something that maybe people had sort of forgotten about. He just sort of offhandedly mentioned, like, hey, by the way, I want the Mask of Illusions. Seems kind of neat, and I'd be curious to know what's going on there as well. I think that's most everything. We also got a glimpse of Logan, and, you know, everyone who's played the second Orc book does like Logan. I'm looking forward to that plot line. The only issue is the true story. It's, like, somehow way more dense, but also way more spread out because there's way more missions. Like, we haven't seen Logan since Between a Rock and a Hard Place, so it does feel like his character is diluted just because the arc is a little less visible because he has way less screen time. And that's just, I think that's just the nature of the true story, unfortunately. But that's, I mean, that's okay. I guess if you've played the books, you know. And he's going to get more screen time as time goes on, I know for sure, as the Orc story concludes, or the Dominion story concludes. Okay. I think that's everything. It's just a lot. It's a lot happening. The Eridon stuff was really exciting because we got a lot of confirmation about what we sort of suspected. But he's starting to lose it. You'll love to see it. Okay, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time for probably a different campaign as Shar is finishing up Act 8, and then eventually after Act 8 is fully released, I will release videos for that as well. All right, see you then. Bye-bye.